What's going on, guys? We got the Kubota M5-111 snow tractor behind me here, and I'm gonna give you the complete overview of how we modified this snow tractor for our residential snow business. So I'm going to start with all the upgrades on the tractor that we have purchased to be able to make it a specific snow tractor. Nokian tires on the front and the rear. We got, of course, our front extended fender flares right here. We got our rear extended fender flares. And must I add, Kubota, you guys did an amazing job on these rear extended fender flares. I'll show you right here. Andreas, if you could zoom in for me there. Look how nice those rear extended fender flares cover the inside wheel well. Check that out. That is absolutely insane how good of a job they did on these rear extended fender flares. So shout out to Kubota. I really like the job you guys did on those. If we bring it back to the back of the blower here, if you zoom in, you see the accumulator. Okay, you take a look there. That is the hydraulic accumulator. Now, this is very important to have on your M5-111 or even your Kubota L6060. What it's going to do is going to send hydraulic pressure to the rear end of the tractor to soften the ride of the blower jumping up and down on the rear end when you're going down the roadway or you're in a neighborhood. So that piece right there is not only going to make your ride a lot smoother, it's also going to save you from breaking a ton of rear end parts. So make sure, guys, you purchase yourself a hydraulic accumulator, tap it into the rear end, and honestly, run it on all your machines. Do not shy away from it. It is totally worth the investment. Of course, on the back of the tractor here, we got our Pronavos Cyclone 92-inch, hell of a blower. We got the hydraulic wings on this model, of course. It's your standard Pronavos Cyclone blower, but we did go with all the bells and whistles on this model, just because why not, right? So this blower does a hell of a job. You could bowl the end of driveways out with the nice hydraulic wings. It sucks up snow like a vacuum, and it's just truly a hell of a blower. We absolutely love them. Now, moving over to, we got our front mount weights. I don't know if I left that out in the beginning of the video, but this is really big on the M5-111. You are gonna wanna have some counterweight on the front. This is 1,000 pounds loaded up here. You gotta remember, guys, like, look at the blower we have on the rear end of this tractor. That blower approximately weighs about close to 2,000 pounds. So there's gotta be some counterweight in the front end. We rock 1,000 pounds. And if you'd like, you can load the front tires with some Egerlim to really kind of counterbalance that weight amongst the tractor. But for the most part, we don't run any weight in the tires. We just kind of take a little bit of pressure out of the tires so that they have a bigger footprint with better traction when they're driving. And that seems to do the trick for us. We don't really need to do anything else for traction. But for some people that run M5s, I know they load the tires. That's totally up to you. We did get this tractor with a loader mount and also a loader that came with it, with a bucket. Guys, if you're going to be purchasing an M5-111, or maybe it might be an M6, whatever the case might be. If you're buying a 100 horsepower tractor, if you do decide to buy it with a loader, it's gonna give you a lot better of a resale value. Not only will it have a better resale value, you're also gonna be able to use it around the yard. If you need to pick up pallets, pick up blowers on your 80-inch models, your 92-inch models, having a tractor with a loader and forks or a bucket is just so essential around your business if you're going to be in this model. So you don't have to get all your tractors with loaders, but I recommend you at least have one or possibly even two. Or if you're a guy who likes to rent your tractors out in the summer, I recommend you getting loaders on all your 100 horsepower. That's a little tidbit just for you guys out there that might be purchasing a 100 horsepower tractor. Anyways, to kind of move over to the toolbox here, this is the Kubota toolbox that comes stock right here on the M5-111. I am not a huge fan of this toolbox. We are going to be putting our own custom toolbox on this M5-111 in Kubota orange, of course, because I don't know, the toolbox is kind of small. I really don't like the location of it, so we're going to make that adjustment. We also have plans of putting a dual barrel military fuel tank mount here, kind of like my John Deere 6110M, so we could have two 20-liter military cans filled with diesel, just to kind of throw some extra fuel out there on the road for not only this machine if it needs it, or a smaller machine in the field that might need a little top up. Instead of them coming coming all the way to the shop, they could get filled up in the field, right? Moving kind of to the front and the rear lights. This tractor comes stock with halogens. You can upgrade to an LED light kit. I highly recommend. One of the cons I personally found using this machine is that it really doesn't have the best lighting. The lights that come with it do the trick. You know, it's not entirely needed to upgrade, but if you want to be able to have a little bit better of a visual at night, an upgraded LED kit would be awesome. You know, if you get some extra lights mounted here on one of our other M5-111s, we have some additional lights mounted here, and it certainly does help. But where you want more light is the back of the tractor. So if you could get 2 LED lights at the top and then maybe some additional LED lights that could, you know, get mounted on top of the rear fender here, and you could rock 4 lights in the back and 4 lights in the front, that'll certainly help with visibility at night, especially on those more rural routes of the city. Having this big old M5-111 with the 92-inch blower, we certainly have this machine kind of out on the outskirts of the city, taking care of those big football field driveways. Now I'm going to bring you to the inside of the M5-111 and show you guys a little bit more of what's going on in here. Okay, we're sitting inside the M5-111 here. I'm gonna take you guys through a really brief tour of what this tractor exactly has inside of it. Obviously, as you guys know, when you get into these big 100 horsepower tractors, you're gonna be messing with a clutch. Some people in the industry who use like John Deere models 5 series, 6 series, they rock IVT transmissions. We find clutch transmissions do the trick with us here. If you have an operator using a big 100 horsepower tractor and they don't know how to use a clutch, I don't recommend you putting them in a big tractor at all, because that's like the first learning curve to knowing how to use a big piece of equipment is, hey, can you use a clutch and can you use gears? That's just my opinion. So we got 6 gears on the shifter here, as you can see. You got your high and your low, and then you also got another high and low button right here as well. So you essentially have 4 ranges with 6 gears on each range. So that's how this works. For me personally, guys, this is a 24 speed, just so you know. It's honestly not even really necessary to be using anything but the 6 gears that you see right here. So for me, I'm in 1 when I'm doing driveways, sometimes 2. And then when I'm out on the road, I come out of a red light at 2, I shift over to 4, and then I shift into 6. Guys, it's like a fucking Honda Civic. It ain't that difficult. Don't overcomplicate it. You know, using clutch and gears isn't all that hard. I know tons of you guys in the snow industry always cry, I need a big IVT to be able to do residential homes with a 100 horsepower tractor. No, you don't. You don't need to be blowing that type of money on a tractor. That is absolutely crazy. This tractor right here does the job just fine with a nice clutch pedal and a standard transmission. You don't need anything else. Moving over to the controls, you got your parking brake here. I already told you guys about the high and low. You got your big old loader stick to control the front loader when you have it attached. You got your blower chute, moves it side to side like this, and then this will move your chute up and down like this. And then right here is your hydraulic wings control. So there's your 3 controls right there for the blower. Super simple. Moving over to the lever for the 3-point hitch. This, if you move this lever down, it'll put your blower down. If you move it up, it'll put your blower up. Very simple. Right here, you got your RPMs, turtle, all the way to rabbit. You got your on-demand 4-wheel drive right over here, okay? And then right here, you have your presets too. If you want to preset your RPM. So for lighter snow, you could preset it to 1700 RPMs. And then for your heavy snowfalls, you could set it to 2200 RPM, sake of argument. And that way you could run your presets for your RPMs just like that. You don't need to be toying around with the lever over here. So that's pretty much what's going on in this cluster. Obviously, I'm not going to forget, here is your power takeoff. This is your PTO. So essentially what this button does is it turns the blower on and off. And then of course you got your windshield wipers on the rear. You got your halogen lights for the front and the rear. You got your heated back window. This is a staple for Kubota. I got tractors that are over $150,000 from John Deere and they don't even got a heated rear window. Don't ask me why, but Kubota has done this with their smaller hydrostatic 60 horsepower tractors with the Kubota L6060, and I think it is essential being in the snow business when you have a pile of ice and snow on the back of your window to be able to hit this defrost button and have all your windows right here get nice and hot, I think it's a huge value add. You can see all the wires here connected. So there's your heated corner windows. Not only do they heat the corner windows, they also heat the back window. It's just absolutely incredible. Kubota is always tailoring their product to the right customer, especially us in the snow industry. So hats off to them for that. As you guys can see, the corner windows, honestly, when you've been in the tractor for, I don't know, over 6 hours, you just want some fresh air. You know, you want to get a nice breath of fresh air. You pop open these corner windows and you just drive and you keep carrying on, hammering driveways. It's a great feeling to get that breath of fresh air. You got your heat controls and cooling controls up here. You got your interior light, speaker in the corner, as you can see. You got your air ride seat, nice and comfortable, electronic driven, right? So you could add air or decompress air as needed. You got your clutch, you got your brake, you got your spindle here to control the wheel moving up and down. And then of course you got your throttle right here to be able to give some RPMs and get this puppy to hammer driveways. Now, of course, this tractor did come with a gorgeous buddy seat. This is an upgrade. I recommend that you do get the buddy seat if you are purchasing this 100 horsepower tractor, because you're gonna need to do some training in this machine. You can't just throw any guy in this. You need to get somebody who's a little bit experienced with equipment or experienced with a standard vehicle or any sort of clutching gears. Anybody who's driven any sort of clutching gears, whether it be a dirt bike or whatever the case might be, somebody who has some experience inside of a piece of equipment or with clutching gears is gonna know how to drive this tractor efficiently and make progress with it. So we get the buddy seat so that we can do some good training in this tractor. I recommend, it's absolutely essential. Now, I guess, Andreas, we should move over to the dash here. If you wanna hop inside, I don't know if you get a good view there, but I'm gonna turn on the dash. Very, very, very similar dash to the Kubota L6060. As you guys can see here, we got our parking brake on, but you got your kilometers up here, of course. You got your RPMs here for your PTO. You got your def level, you got your hours in the machine, and then there's a couple other settings you could play around with on there as well. But for the interface on the front dash on this Kubota M5-111, it is dead simple. It is not complicated, and it's very easy to understand. Over here, you got your aftermarket Motorola CM200 radios that we run stock in all of our tractors. This doesn't come with the machine, of course. This is just something we do as a system and a procedure at Northern Snow because we love our radios. The communication's great out in the field. Talking to dispatch is awesome. When you hop on somebody's route, it's nice to talk to them, or just anything important. We need the radios at all times because it's just a great way to get a hold of somebody quick, or, you know, report to dispatch and say, hey, you know, I'm stuck in a ditch or whatever the case might be. It's just, we find it a little bit easier than calling. It can't get abused, that's all. You got the Bluetooth radio, you know, we got our def and regen buttons. We got our forward for putting the tractor in forward. This is our neutral. And then here's our reverse. Very, very simple. This is also hydraulic shuttle driven. So when you flick it in forward, you don't even need to put the clutch in and it'll go forward. Or if you want to flick it from forward to reverse, you don't even need to put the clutch in. And I think that's absolutely awesome about this machine. You got your front window wipers right here, yeah, just like so. We'll power them on, why not? Give it a little clean. There you have it, nice and simple. Hazard lights, and that's about it. There's really not too much to this machine on the inside of the cab. They made it dead simple. And another thing I really admire about it is if you've driven a Kubota L6060, this just feels like the big brother. It's not really an overwhelming difference of a machine. You hop into this machine and it feels like you're in a bigger Kubota L6060. The only difference is you got your clutch and you got your gears, and then you got your loader stick, and a couple controls are different, but you still get that good strong Kubota feel without an overwhelming sensation of like, oh my God, this has got too many controls, too many bells and whistles. They did a good job on the M5-111. You know, compared to the M6, like the M6-111, it feels like completely different from a Kubota L6060. So I really admire hopping from a Kubota L6060 into an M5-111. I think it's very, very, very good for all of your operators in this business model to be able to drive that 60 horsepower hydrostatic and then hop in a big 100 horsepower. The transition is going to be very smooth and very easy for them. That being said, the machines are just so goddamn similar, and that's what I appreciate. The last piece I forgot about in this tractor, I'm just double checking, I didn't forget about anything else, but the last piece I forgot about in this tractor is it does come with a snazzy old sunroof. It's a little bit dirty with debris and ice from, you know, doing some houses on the rural routes to Sault Ste. Marie. But as you can see, it does have a nice little sunroof. And if you don't want that open, you could close it. You got your mirror. That's about it, you know? Very standard, very simple machine. And I appreciate that. We don't want to overcomplicate things, you know? We're just blowing snow. I don't need all the bells and whistles. I don't need it to be IVT transmission. I don't need a bunch of screens. We want it to be simple. That's what we're looking for, and that's what our business is all about. That is our slogan, snow blowing simplified. Let's not overcomplicate things, guys. Now, let's move out to the exterior of the machines. I'm gonna give you a couple pros, cons, benefits, and price points, and a little bit more additional information about this Kubota M5-111. We went over all the upgrades to outfit the machine to make it the perfect snow tractor for your residential business. Now, I'm gonna go over a couple other things, which is price point for this tractor, price point for the blower, and then also the loader. I think this is really important for all you guys. I already mentioned my whole tangent about the loader. Guys, if you're buying a 100 horsepower tractor, I recommend you get one. It is really, really nice to have. So make sure you buy a loader. That's first and foremost. Loader is going to cost you around 20 grand. As for the tractor is going to cost you 100 grand. This is for a 24 speed, fully loaded Kubota M5-111 with the Ultra Cab. There's a couple little additional bells and whistles that came with that, like the front mount weights, the front mount fenders, the rear fenders, and the accumulator. So let's call it $105,000 for the tractor. Another roughly, don't hold me to it, 20 grand for the loader. And then of course for your big old 92-inch galvanized Pronovo Cyclone, what a masterpiece. That's gonna run you $15,000 right there. Some places I've heard $16,000, $17,000, $18,000. I don't know why you're paying that much. They cost us $15,000 for that unit right there with the stainless steel cutting edge. So that's the price point for the M5-111. By the time you get the loader, all the snow package accessories, you get a fully loaded M5-111 with the 24 speed. You're $105,000 for the tractor, another 20 grand for the loader. That's 125. And then add on your blower, that's another 15. So we'll call it 140 grand for the setup total. We did pay, I think, a little bit less than that, but I'm just giving you guys ballpark. I mean, we buy a pile of Kubota of equipment and a pile of Pronovo Cyclone, so we do get a little bit cheaper, but for the setup, 140 grand, that's a good ballpark number for all you guys to go off of. Okay, so I'm gonna go over performance of this machine in particular. The power from this small compact tractor here is absolutely incredible. 111 horsepower underneath the hood, and this tractor does not shy away. It certainly packs a punch. I was surprised to see how much power this machine had when I brought it out to go do snow removal. The blower on the back obviously helps a lot with being able to really get that top tier performance out of this piece of equipment. However, you really feel the power under the hood in this tractor, I promise. Not to mention, with the accumulator we tapped in the back and just the M5-111 being such a solid build, this tractor has a ridiculously smooth ride. Like, honestly, incredible. I admire how smooth of a ride it is. We have some brand new John Deere 6110M with cab suspension. They don't have accumulators though, which I know helps sincerely. And those John Deere 6110Ms don't even have close to the same ride that this M5-111 does with the accumulator in the rear. So hats off to Kubota for their M5-111. It is a solid ride, but I know that has a lot to do with the accumulator. Now, I brought you guys inside the cab with the M5-111 and I showed you guys how simple it is inside. And that's something I really admire. Like I said, that's in a slogan in our name here at Northern Snow. The cab inside this machine is so simple, and I appreciate Kubota so much for that. It really makes our business a lot easier. Okay guys, I'm gonna run you through a little bit of pros and cons on the M5-111, and then we're gonna wrap this show up because it's like -15 right now and I can't even feel my hands. How about you, Andreas? Cold, eh? Okay, so some of the pros on the M5-111, you got the hybrid style tractor. So when I mean it's hybrid, you could run it inside the city at residential homes, and you could also run it on the outside of the city to do more of those larger rural driveways that are what I like to call football fields. So that's what's nice about this machine. You could put it on a tight, compact route, and then you could also put on a giant ass big route with huge driveways, because you got the big old 92-inch blower on the back, you got the gorgeous 40-kilometer-an-hour road speed from this piece of equipment, you got the hydraulic wings to be able to suck up a little bit more snow, And then you could also toss it on a very compact route because it's not overly large. It's still a very inviting machine. It doesn't feel like a big John Deere 6130M rolling up to your house in a residential subdivision. It's very inviting. It has a very nice turning radius. It's not too long. It's nimble. And it's just such a great design to be able to use as a hybrid style tractor. Another thing I really admired is if you have a bunch of Kubota L6060s in your fleet, it's a simple step up to the M5-111. So to be able to train your operators to use this piece of equipment is very, very easy and very simple, which is what we want. Another thing I really admire about Kubota as a whole, especially the M5s and the L6060s, these tractors are dead simple to work on, and that's something I really admire. Parts are cheap, and you don't really need to screw around much with Kubota. Everything is done so well, so hats off to the Japanese for that. They've always done a good job doing it. Like I mentioned as well, this tractor is a perfect size, perfect for the subdivisions and perfect for the outside of the city. Great turning radius and such a nice, nimble, compact design. Another thing I really admire about the M5-111 is the loader capacity. It can load up to 2,200 pounds on a loader. We've done up to 2,500 pounds with it, so it's got a solid loader weight capacity on the front end of the M5-111 when you got it hooked up. Another thing I really like about Kubota as a whole is it does have the Kubota insurance, which you're covered from front to back of the piece of equipment for whatever size term you get, whether it's 5, 6, 7 year, whatever it may be. You could throw your Kubota insurance on top of your tractor and it's covered from front to back, which is something I really like and something we really use around here. Great peace of mind, Kubota insurance. And then the last piece for me is just the 0% financing. You know, it's very hard to get any equipment nowadays at 0% financing. So that's something I really like about not only the M5-111, but Kubota as a whole. So hats off again to you guys, Kubota, for that. We really like the 0% financing, let me tell you. Now I'm gonna go over the cons real quick because I actually for sure can't feel my hands now. It's getting bad out here, eh, Andreas? Holy sh. So there's only 3 cons with this machine. The transmission, it could be a little bit better. I definitely think that it's something that they could work on in the future. It does the job. It's certainly not bad, but it could be a bit better. I wish the clutch was hydraulic and not cable. It'd be a little bit easier on the knee after 6, 7, 8 hours. And then the last piece is the lighting, which I went over in the beginning of the video. I do wish they put some LEDs stock on the front and the rear. That'd be pretty cool. And just some extra lights, you know, there's a couple places where you can mount some lights on the front and the back. I think it'd be really essential for this machine. But you know what? They don't make it for snow. They make it for farming, for small farming. We just modify them to use them for snow. So these are kind of just my little bit of complaints that I wish they did. So Kubota, if you're watching, a little bit of extra lighting, hydraulic clutch instead of cable, and maybe a different style transmission for us snow guys, that would mean the world. But guys, there you have it on the M5-111 overview. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel, guys. I appreciate you all so much. And let's keep growing our snow businesses and let's keep crushing it. I hope you enjoyed the video and just comment below, you know, any other videos you want to see, any other overview videos, reviews on blowers, tractors, whatever the case might be. I would love to do them for all you guys. And like I said again, thank you all. Please subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world. And I'll catch you on the next one.